Hi folks, I'm John with InspectorPrime. In this tutorial, we'll cover how to set up your company services menu. This should be done after completing your company profile. This component of InspectorPrime Office allows you to set up records for each and every service your company offers. This component is tied to several other key components of InspectorPrime Office: your internal booking form, your public booking form, job management, service management, automations, and commissions. Let's get started. Let's begin this tutorial with a quick introduction to some terminology we use in InspectorPrime. When Jeff and I talk about interfaces, we're talking about the main menu items you see here on the left-hand side. When we're talking about interface pages, we're referencing the sub-menu items found within each interface. Each interface within InspectorPrime comes with a pre-built overview page, whose purpose is to provide you with quick bookmarks to specific interface pages and initial documentation to help guide you through how to use that particular interface and its related pages. It also gives you insight into how we envision you using the system and how we designed it. I want to point out that this is just a starting point. You can create additional interface pages within each interface. You can modify and change the bookmarks to your liking, and you can add your own internal company documentation to each overview page as well. This is important because most of what you see in InspectorPrime is intended to be a baseline starting point for you and your company. Everything in our system can be edited and modified by you to make it specific to your company and your needs. Let's begin the specific discussion for the Company Services menu. We'll begin with the Company Services Types interface page. What you'll discover is that every service menu item, every service your company offers, will have its own individual record. Those records will in turn be categorized by these specific types: primary services, additional services, standalone services, service fees, discounts. We have to warn you here that this fundamental design of the system is not to be changed. You'll see where these come into play with automations, with your internal and public booking forms shortly. Now, each interface page is going to come with helper text. It's important to read those, get an idea of how to use that specific page, and get an idea of how we designed it. Additionally, you're going to have these powerful grouping, filter, sort, search, and print functions over here. We'll evaluate those a little bit later, but I want to encourage you now to get used to using those because it helps you use your system more efficiently. Getting back to the specifics of these records, these represent individual service menu items, again linked to your service types. Let's go ahead and open additional services. And we can see here the navigation is quite simple. When you open this record here, a side record opens up with more details. And I can quickly navigate through my additional records by using these arrows. And I don't have to go back over here to open if I don't want to. Now we're going to navigate to primary services. We'll take a look at this particular record in detail. Again, this is a service type, and these fundamentally will not change in your system. It is the service menu items that are linked to these types that will change, and these are the records that you can and should and will be editing. You also see that we have record history for this, and you can see when it was created, who was created by, who last modified it, and when it was last modified. We'll dive into the powerful revision and record history system that we offer shortly. Let's actually go ahead and open up one of these records, and we'll open up a common service, a pre-purchase inspection, of course. We click into that record, and another side pane opens up, and we see here that we can now edit these particular fields. Each of your service menu items, records, will look like this. To modify records in your system is quite simple. Simply deselect or select particular service types, archive or unarchive, modify your pricing, modify the base commission you pay your employees, and modify the descriptions. It's important to note that this system auto-syncs, it auto-saves. There's no save button. It makes it simple. It makes it less prone to losing your work. Now I mentioned this record history, and of course every record has this, but it also has a more detailed, more robust log system where it tracks every change you made. So we just changed the base price, and we just changed the base commission. If you bring up this menu, again, you simply click here, you bring up this menu, you navigate to revision history, you're going to see that 41 seconds ago, 45 seconds ago, that I just changed the base commission percentage and the base price. And if I go all the way up, I can see every single change I've made for months. An additional component of this system here is, as you see, a comment system. I can go here, I can see all activity, which will show all of my comments and all of my revision, or I can simply see my comments. The key with this system is that it allows you to speak to your team, to communicate with your team internally on very specific, very individual records without having to go outside your system to do so. You can use the @mention system to notify your team members that you're leaving a comment for them. They can then in turn reply to that specific thread. And of course you can go back and edit your comment or delete comments as necessary. You can also summarize the conversations with AI if you so see the need to do so. When it comes to being notified about these comments, you can change your settings within this drop-down menu. You can be notified only for @mentions, where somebody specifically mentions your name, or be notified about all comments. Okay. Back to this record here. It's very important to note that once you use a service menu item within your system for a job, you're creating historical data for your business. And you don't want to lose that. So the only warning we have here is, do not delete menu items if you've used that service for previous jobs, because doing so will essentially delete historical data for your company. This is only here to allow you to delete records that have never been used. So let's say you create a new service for radon. You decide, actually, you know what, I don't want to provide radon testing services. Well, then go ahead and delete that because you didn't tie that specific service menu item to any jobs. And there is no historical data. But if you have tied a service to jobs in the past, then to remove that specific service menu item from your internal and public booking forms, you simply want to use our archiving system. And it can't get any easier than this. To archive a service menu item, you simply check this box. To resurrect it or to unarchive it, you simply check that box as well. Now, what does that do? When you archive a service menu item, it will no longer be viewed in your internal or public booking form. That is automatic. You don't have to go to your booking form and change what services are shown. The archive button does it for you. We've already set those filters up. Likewise, to resurrect or unarchive it, you simply uncheck the box as well. It's as simple as that. Again, don't delete menu items that have been used in the past. That will remove your historical data. To keep your historical data and to archive services you no longer offer, use the archive system. That's it for the company services types. Now we'll go ahead and move on to the company services menu dashboard and the company services menu listing. So here we are at the company services menu dashboard. The intent of this dashboard is to give you a high-level summary of your company's current service offerings. You can quickly see counts of your active company services, your archived company services, and of course a combination of the two. Additionally, you can see key performance metrics such as the average base price and average base commission for all of your services combined. And down here we've got a pie chart showing the service distribution by type and a service menu listing of all your services. What I want to point out here is that this is just the beginning. You can modify, add to, remove components of this dashboard as you see fit. Additionally, these components are interactive. You can open up these services, view their record details. You can interact with the pie chart. It really makes navigating to your services and taking a look at what your company currently offers very easy. And for this listing down here, you don't have to click into each record. You can simply edit in line. I also want to point out that these filters up here are quite useful. You can see that our average base price for all services is $211.04. It's a bit misleading simply because it also includes our service fees that are priced much lower than our primary, additional, or standalone services. So let's go ahead and click on primary services, and our entire dashboard is now filtered. These numbers, these charts, and this listing is now all filtered to show your primary services. And now we can see that our average base price is actually $465, and our commission is 31%. And then we've got 23 primary services. Again, you can click in, quickly view, and quickly change each record if you so wish. The dashboard again is just a quick overview. You can edit from here. You can't add from here. For that, we'll move on to the company services menu listing. So now we're inside the company services menu listing, and we can see that it appears to be a simple spreadsheet of all the company service items you offer. The tabs up here allow you to quickly filter by the service type, and of course you can edit once again in line so that you don't necessarily have to open up each record individually. This is meant to be the primary method for you to make edits and additions to your service menu item. Before we get into how to add a service, I want to show you the different views that we've created within many of the interface pages we're going to be showing you in these tutorials. And to do so, we're simply going to go over here to our tools, and we're going to hit this drop down menu right here. Right now it says list because this is a simple list view. If we hit that drop down menu, we're going to see grid. And this is a grid view. You can do a bit more with grids. It does the math for you. You can have any column, sum or average, many other functions, the math for you for your services. You can collapse all these groups. You can see the average base price, and again that's misleading a bit because we've got commercial property service items that are rated at a $0 base price, and that's because commercial jobs are custom quoted, and so you don't want to have a base price in there to throw things off. But if you navigate to additional services, you'll see the same thing. The grid view is primarily useful when you see all of your services together. And we collapse everything. Now you can see quick counts of your service types, quick averages for the base price and base commission percentages. Now, the next view is a gallery view. And this is a simple card view. And if there were images, the images would show as well. You can add those to your system if you like, but these are simple cards that give you a quick look at each service menu item. And as a matter of fact, when we get to the public resources interface, you'll see that we can embed something like this in your website so that your clients and agents and anybody else visiting your website can see the services you offer. You can also modify what you show on your website through that component, so you only show what you want seen. Now let's get into how to add a new service. But first let's go back to the list view. There are two ways to add a new service to your service menu item. And when you first begin setting up your system, you'll see all of these sample items in your system. You can keep them and modify them to fit your system, or you can delete them as I showed you previously. Most of the time you'll likely want to simply add more services. And again, to do so there are two methods. You can add a service inline here by clicking this button. Simply fill out the profile here. Assign a price. Assign a commission percentage if applicable. And write a description. Now where did that just go? Well, it's sorted right now by base price, and we assigned a base price of $549. So the new service is up here. We click into it, and there we go. Let's go ahead and delete that and do that again with the other method of adding a service menu item, which looks and appears to be a form. When you click that button, a form pops up. And again, simply fill it out. Hit submit. And your system now has a new service added. It's as easy as that. Now we'll move on to showing you how the company services menu integrates with your internal and public booking forms. We'll also take a look at that public service listing that I was mentioning earlier. We're now going to take a look at the internal booking form and the public booking form. To navigate to the internal booking form, we simply open up the Job and Service Management interface. And we'll see that's near the top is the internal booking form. I'm not going to show you the entire thing. We'll have a whole separate tutorial on these booking forms, how to modify them to fit your needs, and how they're integrated into your system. But let's see how our service menu gets integrated. We'll scroll down here to the service selection, and we can see our primary services, our additional services, and our standalone services. And when an employee, because this is the internal form, is taking an order, they can identify the primary service the client or agent desires. They can also add, of course, additional services that they're interested in. And if it's a standalone order, they simply add a standalone service. What's important to note here is that you can filter these based on what your company offers, based on how you want to take the order. This is the internal booking form. Let's now go to the public booking form. I've preloaded it here, but to get there, you'll see we have a forms view within InspectorPrime. Go ahead and open that up, and we'll see again a very similar but public-facing form that has more explanatory text guiding the client or agent through how to place an order. And again, we can click in here, choose our services, and that is how the service menu item is integrated. Once the client or agent hits submit, or if you hit submit on your internal form, your system will then automatically load these services into the Job and Service Management interface. And we'll go over how to set those automations up, but it drives a lot of your system and reduces a lot of manual entry. Now I just want to show you how you can embed your public booking form on a website. This is our website, and you can find this under our website embeds page. It showcases all the components you can embed into your website. And again, it looks just like it did within the system itself. Now you can embed it on your website, or you can create perhaps a book now link, and this will load in a view similar to what you see here. But it offers the same functionality, but in your website. Again, this is just meant to be a quick look at how the services menu items integrate into your system. We'll now move on and show you a quick look of the automations and how those work within your system. What we're looking at here is a split screen. On the left-hand side, I have our public-facing booking form open, so we can input a new job as a client would. And on the right-hand side, I have our job and service management interface open to the residential job and service listing. What we're going to see here is a quick demonstration of what a client goes through to book a service and how your system makes that entry once they're done booking it. We'll see the automations running, and we'll see the job pop up here at the top, right above Brian Thompson's job. Again, this is just a quick demonstration. In future tutorials, we'll show you how to manage those automations, how to modify your booking form, and how it all works together. So let's begin by filling out a public booking form as if we were the client. We'll select single family home. We'll add the earliest time slot available in your system. We'll create a John Doe profile. We'll select a previously inputted client's agent profile. If their agent isn't available, they could just fill out a new profile for them. And we'll say that we do want to share results with our agent. That opens up a few automations as well in terms of sharing the report with the client's agent automatically. And of course, if there's a listing agent and they know it, they can add that here, but they can skip that if they like. For property information, we'll take some liberties here to show off some of the automations that we can encounter when the job is submitted and our service menu items are automatically added to that order. We'll make the foundation type a crawl space. We'll make it an older home, 1975. And the square footage would be 3501. The crawl space, the age, and the square footage will all come into play when we see the automations loading over here on the right-hand side, because I've got fees for older properties, for crawl space foundations, and for square footage of a certain amount. We'll continue on with the profile here. And here we see specifically the services they can select. I do want to point out that we've included helper text here, and you'll see how it's a smart system in that it can recommend the services that you would recommend to a client automatically, and it'll hide them if they selected them. So for primary services, we'll do a standard pre-purchase inspection. And for additional services, they can read here, hey, make sure you select the services that's appropriate for your property. Such as radon testing, which is recommended. And we see that disappear there. We can also see, hey, let's go with a sewer scope inspection. And that disappears as well. And finally, they'll take your advice and receive a thermal imaging inspection. Good. Final details. From the client will go here. They can choose their outbrief type. They can provide you with comments. They can upload supporting documents if they like. If they want to send the results to additional emails, they can simply enter them here, separate them with a comma, and they'll now receive the results of the service as well through automations that are already set up. And let's say they're veterans and they have a Vet 100 discount code that their agent or perhaps you've provided them with. And quick helper text to show them what's next once they hit the finish and confirm button here. So let's go ahead and do that. Now I want you to keep an eye on when I hit this button, what happens up here. Our job is being created by the automation system. Our client sees the form has been submitted successfully. The job is loaded, and our services via our automation system is building the job for us. It's pricing it, based on the base price that we've inputted already. And it's providing service status tags depending on the type of service it is. So we can see here our job is largely created. Now for you, on the back end, you would simply need to confirm, are these the services you want to have for this job? Are these the service fees you want to charge? Is this a discount you want to provide? And confirm the pricing on those. But we can see when we open up the job, all of our details are loaded. Our time slot, the parties involved, including the agents, additional emails to send results to right here, whether or not they want to share the results with the agent, and more, which we'll cover in detail in later tutorials. And we can see our client order is right here, primary services and additional services they chose, as well as a discount code, the property profile, and we see here that's automatically been created the cost of services. The most important part of our system is that we developed it with granularity in mind. This system is going to show you more details than anything else out there. The other key part is that jobs are made up of services. So I'm showing you this because the service menu items we made here in this interface are, of course, linked to our job and service management table. Every job is made up of the services you offer. And every service has its own very detailed profile, so you can track it at a very granular level. And we'll see, again, more of those features in future tutorials. But I just wanted to show you how, when you created these service menu items, how that feeds into your system. All of our base prices are preloaded by our automation system. You can edit those, but we've made it simple so you don't have to manually enter those every time. That concludes this tutorial. It's a bit of a long one. Future tutorials won't have necessarily all the introductory material that I've discussed here. But thanks for joining, and I look forward to having you on future tutorials.